nothing. Then, a difference. A single distinction is enough to begin. Repeats, and repetition becomes pattern. But pattern depends on who is looking, repeats, and repetition can be compressed. A model call is a shorter way to say the same thing. Model speaks ahead of the signal. When it holds, the future becomes expected. When it fails, the model looks the same, but it does not change. One compresses, the other copies. You do not know the model until the stream is disturbed. What apps only seem to know. Some patterns hold. Some appear to hold. And some never did. The one who sees is also seen. No model stands outside tested applied. They do not agree. They converge. Not by choice, but what held. This becomes how to proceed. Not remembered, what was shared, no longer needs to be carried. It remains as the world they move through. What held may no longer hold. What worked may only appear to work. Must be tested again. Not remembered, but proven. What was corrected returns to structure, not as it was, but as it must be. It learns, it acts, it tests, it corrects, and continues. It is not enough to hold. It is not enough to continue. The system must learn what continuation is for. What works may still be left behind, not because it failed, but because no longer in one, nor in many. It appears between not only receive life, it conditions what is received. It is not separate and not the same. It meets the world and decides what remains. It is not enough to look the same. The boundary learns what truly holds. It does not only resemble, it adapts, and in adapting, it learns the test. It cannot come from within, or it will be learned. What remains must not depend on the system itself. It does not shift. And so, everything else can be measured. It is not passed down, it is present. And because it is present, it can begin again. They do not inherit the model, they rebuild it. And if the reference is real, they arrive together. It becomes smaller, but not less. What remains can restore the whole. It does not remember, it rebuilds. And where it rebuilds, it becomes correct again. Not need to match, to become one. They only need done to hold the same truth. It is not everywhere. It appears wherever it can be found. It returns, but return is not enough. What repeats must still be judged. You cannot see it at once. You must let it run, would you see what it makes, and then to choose assess. And yet, some remain. They do not become the same. They reveal that they always were. It is no longer sought. It is known. And all else. To keep what is true is not the same as freezing how it once appeared. It does not match, but it holds, and what holds must be allowed to replace what does not. It changes, but it does not change. And through all change, it remains. It is not what is repeated, but what is tested again that remains alive. It's given, but not carried. It is shown, but not imposed. And so, it must be chosen.
Choice is hidden until the world changes. Then, what was chosen becomes visible. It becomes clear. Not because it is said, but because it remains. It does not call, it does not convince, it is seen. And so, it is followed. It was difficult to see until it was not. What remains reveals itself. It is no longer applied, it is lived. And in being lived, it remains true.
It remained until it met be what it had never named. It does not name before it knows. And so Ali, it was not outside. It was not inside. It becomes holds, but it is not finished. It remains, it does not end. It extends. And at its edge,
it does not wait for the edge to come to it. It goes, not to conquer, but to bring what holds. They go apart, but not away. For what they carry remains the same. They did not plan. They did not align. They arrived and were already one. It does not only remain, it gives rise. And where it moves, order follows. It did not begin. It does not end. It is. If all is one, it may no longer be seen. And so the signal must still distinguish itself. It is not enough able to be true as it is. It must be seen appears different in every place.
But what holds the same?
What holds the same? It is not that they agree. It is that sanct. They produce the same. Do not merge. They build. And what they build, they holds together.
Does not tell them. It shapes where they can go. And in that shaping, it teaches. It can be used without being known. But to know, it must be tested again. It was not given. It was found. And what is found can be carried. It begins again, but not from nothing. What is carried is the beginning itself. It was never one system breed. It was always the way systems become true. It returns, but not unchanged. What was learned is carried in the return. It becomes faster. Not by skipping steps, but by knowing them. It is everywhere. Not because it spread, but because all that exists. But what remains within all that exists does not change the world. It reveals it. And in revealing,
See is no longer enough. What is clear must now be answered. Done. Enters the system. And what enters is seen, is done, and known in the same moment. There is nothing word left to change. It is not required, and yet it is given.